Let's take a look at this problem. We got f of x is equal to x squared minus 3x plus 2. And first thing we want to find is f of 3. And this is evaluating a function. It's always the same. We go through and replace all of our x's in our original function with parentheses. So we got parentheses squared minus 3 times parentheses plus 2. Everything else remains exactly the same. Second power, the minus 3, the plus 2, we just replace x's with parentheses. Then whatever's inside the parentheses right here is automatically what we're going to put inside of these parentheses. So put a 3 there and 3 there. Then simplify. 3 squared is 9 minus 3 times 3 is 9 plus 2. 9 minus 9 is 0, drops away, so our answer is 2. F of negative 1. Now this is always the same. We go through our original function and replace our x's with parentheses. So we got parentheses squared minus 3 times parentheses plus 2. Whatever is inside this parentheses automatically goes here and goes here. So put negative 1 there and negative 1 there. And then simplify. Negative 1 squared, negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. Negative 3 times negative 1 gives us a positive 3 plus 2. 1 plus 3 is 4 plus 2 gives us 6. F of 3 halves. I'm going to put it down here just in case it's a little bit longer. Again, evaluating is always the same. We go through and replace all of our variables with parentheses. So I got parentheses squared minus 3 times parentheses plus 2. Whatever's inside the parentheses here automatically goes here and here. So put 3 halves there and 3 halves there. Now 3 halves squared. You square the numerator, square the denominator. So 3 squared is 9. 2 squared is 4. Minus 3 times 3 is 9. So that gives us 9 halves plus 2. Now we want to get a common denominator, which would be 4. So we got 9 over 4 minus. Now for this fraction, we multiply the denominator by 2 to get our new denominator. So we multiply the top part by 2. 9 times 2 is 18. And I can rewrite the 2 as 8 over 4. So then, they all have the same denominator, so I'll add the numbers on top. 9 minus 18 is negative 9, plus 8 gives us negative 1/4. Now that one I could plug into my calculator if I have a TA3, TA4. Works fairly well with numbers, not with variables. So we'll do a beginning parentheses, 3 divided by 2, closing parentheses, then a squared, minus 3, beginning parentheses, 3 over 2, and then plus 2. So I'm typing it exactly as I see it. And then I press enter. Now we'll get a decimal, and to go from decimal to fraction on a TA3, TA4, you do math, enter, enter. And that gives us our negative 1/4. Okay, well our next one is f of 4x. So I'm going to go through my original function and replace my x's with parentheses. So I got parentheses squared minus 3 times parentheses plus 2. And evaluating is always the same. Whatever's right here inside this parentheses goes inside these parentheses. So I'll put a 4x here and I'll put a 4x here. Now 4x squared. 4x times 4x gives us 16x squared. Minus 3 times 4 gives us 12x plus 2. And that's our answer. Let's see, 4 times f of x. This is not evaluating a function. You're just going to replace the f of x right here with whatever f of x is equal to. So we're going to have 4 times x squared minus 3x plus 2. Notice I put parentheses around the x squared minus 3x plus 2. That's because this 4 that's out in front has to be multiplied times everything that follows it. 4 times x squared is 4x squared. 4 times negative 3x is negative 12x. 4 times 2 is 8. And that would be our function. Now this, which one am I on? 1, 2, 6, 1. F of negative x. Now again, this is evaluating the function, so we're going to go back to our original function. Everywhere we have an x, we'll put in parentheses. Everything else remains exactly as is. Now whatever's inside this parentheses is automatically what goes here and here. So I'll put negative x in there, and I'll put negative x in there. Now negative x squared. Negative x times negative x gives us a positive x squared. Negative 3 times negative x gives us a positive 3x. And then I'll bring down the plus 2. Okay. Our next one is f of x minus 4. It doesn't matter what it looks like. If it's evaluating functions, it's always the same. You go back to your original function, and everywhere you have an x, you put in a set of parentheses. Everything else remains exactly as is. Now, whatever's inside this parentheses is automatically what goes inside these parentheses now. So I'll put an x minus 4 here and an x minus 4 here. Now, x minus 4 squared is x minus 4 times x minus 4. Now here, the negative 3, that's a distributive property. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x, and negative 3 times negative 4 is a positive 12, and then I'll bring down the plus 2. I want to multiply these together. So I'll take my first term here, the x, and multiply times each term over here. And then I'll take my second term, the negative 4, and multiply times each term over here. So following my lines, I got x times x is x squared. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times negative 4 is a positive 16. Minus 3x, 12 plus 2 is 14. Combine together like terms, same variable to the same power. So here we got an x, here we got an x, and here we got an x. Negative 4 and negative 4 is negative 8, negative 3 is negative 11, so we got negative 11x. And here we got a number, and here we got a number. 16 plus 14 gives us 30. And that would be our answer. F of x minus 4. This one's not really evaluating a function, as it is just plugging in the value of the function. So where this f of x is here, we're going to plug in what f of x is equal to. So we're going to have x squared minus 3x plus 2, and then I'll bring down the minus 4 at the end. So we got x squared minus 3x, 2 minus 4 is negative 2, and that'd be our answer. And f of x squared. This is back to evaluating a function, so we're going to go to our original function. Everywhere we have an x, we'll put in parentheses. So we got parentheses squared minus 3 times parentheses plus 2. Whatever's inside the parentheses here is automatically we're going to put in here and here. So I'll put an x squared in here. Now remember, when you're raising one exponent to another exponent, you multiply the exponents together. So x squared to the second power gives us x to the fourth. Minus 3 times x squared is 3x squared, and then I'll bring down the plus 2. And that would be our answer.